Okay, I was going to wait until I got home, but I can't wait. So I got out of the DC area before rush hour, but I wanted to go live to talk about what happened today with the ACHDNC vote, some things that I've observed about the process that are going to help other leukodystrophies later, and then what's next. Actually, it's not going to all be in that order because this is not scripted. So as you may have seen today, the ACHDNC recommended that Krabbe disease be added to the federal recommended uniform screening panel. It is just a recommendation, but historically the Secretary of Health has never said no when the ACHDNC recommends something. The vote was 10-3. In 2009, the vote was 8-7. Last February, the vote was 7-7. So today to get to a 10-3 vote was nothing short of remarkable. It was very emotional, as you can imagine. But what happens next? So the Secretary of Health has 6 months, which I realized on my drive, 6 months from today is Tori's birthday, July 30th. It could happen before then, but I wouldn't be sad if he waited until then to officially add it to the RUSP, just, selfishly, because Tori's birthday. But, so he has 6 months to officially add it to the RUSP. At that point, the clock starts ticking for RUSP alignment states. So I will put this in the comments and in the caption, but for LDNBS, I created what I called a strategic plan, but it's more like, this is how I think it's going to go for both Krabbe disease and MLD for state-by-state addition of these conditions. So you'll see on the Krabbe disease one that, we already have 11 states screening plus a 12th, which is Minnesota, getting ready. So we have less work to do than other leukodystrophies, but I have it all broken out on there. Which states are RUSP alignment states? How many years do they have to add the condition? Which states have a nomination process that we should be getting on? And, finding advocates in those states to fill out those forms, which we can totally help you with. And then there's a list of states that we're not really sure exactly what to do with, or they use another state's lab for their screening. So we kind of have to wait. But if you look at that, it's at ldnbs.org under resources. And like I said, we'll put it in the comments here, but I just wanted to highlight that so that, if you're wondering what's next, well, it is feasible that we will see all states screening for Krabbe disease by 2028, I believe. We'll have most of them by 27 based on RUSP alignment policies. So, it's incredible. I also wanted to note some observations. So as I have been listening to these meetings for years now, I have been taking notes of things that they say in the discussions about conditions and whether or not to add them that are really interesting, that could be useful for conditions to know later on. One of the things they said today, and this will probably end up becoming a blog post, but I do have a lot of grad school work to get done today, so it's probably not going to happen today. But one of the things that was mentioned by a non-supporter of Krabbe disease newborn screening, one of the 3 no voters, he pointed out that out of the 10 babies identified by newborn screening that they were looking at, the data, 3 of the sets of parents had declined to transplant. And he even said, we don't know why. We don't know what the thought process was. We don't know how the message was delivered. We don't know any of this. But he was taking that very seriously and really harping on this. And that was really frustrating to me, because also, if you haven't been to these meetings, the public only gets certain times they can talk. Otherwise, we just sit there and take all this in. But it was really hard for me to hear him talking about that as a harm or a risk for a lot of reasons. But one of those was, even if those families decline transplant, which is fully within their rights, all we ask is that parents have an option, which newborn screening gives them. Even if they decline it, they still have a benefit from newborn screening because they know what is coming. They can more quickly get the proper care for their child. They aren't going to have the diagnostic odyssey that we would have. So I've been collecting all of these things because Krabbe disease is only the second leukodystrophy to be recommended to the RUSP. XALD was the first. Krabbe is the second. We hope MLD will be third, closely followed by CTX. And who knows what else is coming. We have a lot of work to do with 50 leukodystrophies. But I'm going to try to do more writing about these, or even maybe do little reels about things that conditions need to consider when they're preparing public comment or whatever, because there's been a lot of things that have really surprised me. Like, they didn't focus on the 7 parents who did choose to transplant. They focused more on the 3 who refused it. This whole process has been pretty frustrating, but I also have learned a lot. And the whole reason I have tried to learn a lot is so that I can help you. So that I can help every leukodystrophy that's going to come. Because it is really hard to sit there as a parent, but I also have, I've learned from the public health perspective, from the lab perspective. I've tried to learn all these different perspectives and then kind of put it together to help advocates. So I can understand on some level why they have these concerns. But at the same time, I'm like, really? So if you have questions, please ask them. I do need to finish driving back to Pennsylvania, but I just couldn't not say these things. But yeah, if you have questions about what it was, what it was like to be in the room or whatever. And like I said, we'll put the link to the strategic plan for Krabbe disease in the comments, and in the caption of this, so that you can look at it and see what to expect for your state. But it'll also show you like what you can be doing. So what can you be doing? If you live in a RUSP aligned state, it doesn't hurt to talk to your advisory board. As a reminder, 48 states have advisory boards. So you don't need to legislatively add this or mandate this. But you might talk to your advisory board and just let them know, hey, I'm an affected family. Let me know if you need me to do anything. You can also support the EveryLife Foundation's RUSP alignment efforts. So this year they're going to be working on Virginia, Wisconsin, and I feel like there's a third state, but I can't remember right now. It's been a very long 2 days. So you can be helping with the RUSP alignment efforts, because obviously the more states that become RUSP aligned and commit to adding whatever's on the RUSP will add Krabbe disease. So, again, all that's listed in the strategic plan at ldmbs.org, under the resources tab. I think it's under resources. Again, I'll post the link, but thank you for listening to this very candid, video. But yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to do everything I can to put out some content to help, continue to educate about newborn screening and the RUSP process and all that. But for now, I'm just really glad this one is done. 9 years ago today, Tori had her first CAT scan that showed us that something was wrong. And so it's very meaningful to us today that 9 years later, we are on the path to having no parents have to go through, or fewer parents, I should say, having to go through the diagnostic odyssey that so many of us have. And so it's worth it all. So thank you to all of you who gave public comment, who have shared your children with decision makers. It obviously made a really big difference today.